Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome back to the Male Soap Opera Moment, your favorite prediction and post-analysis show on all things WWE. And why? Well, it's not me, it's Damascus Dez and Vinny Bucci, and we are here to talk about Survivor Series War Games, going down in mere hours. We got to get to it, guys. But before we get to the 5 matches on the card, maybe more added tonight. Who knows? Who knows what Hunter will do? Time will tell. But before we get to all that, without further ado, it is time for all of us to acknowledge the reigning, defending, undisputed Rated R prediction star, Vincent Kennedy Bucci.
Fucking right on the Rated R star. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the true prediction champion, the king of the mountain, have yet to be knocked off, got both belts in my possession. Why? Because I am the recognized symbol of greatness, and I will prove it again in War Games.
I'll do it. I'll do it again. I keep saying, but I will do it, and Damascus is doing it. He's doing it in his own way. He's an individual, right? And I can appreciate that. So without further ado, Booch, there's some confusion. There's some scuttle. I've been online. I've been looking. And there is some kind of misinterpretation, some misunderstanding about what a War Games match actually is and what it means and how it works. So if you could give us the quick and dirty Cliff's Notes, I'd be much obliged, kind sir.
Absolutely, and I understand the confusion. I 100% blame the modern era for that confusion because this is a prime example of what happens when you fix something till it breaks. Like, we give a lot of crap about AEW. One thing they do right is the War Games, but they call it Blood and Guts for copyright reasons. Traditionally, how this is supposed to be done is obviously there's 2 rings and a giant cage. There used to be a lid on top of that cage. They decided to take the lid off so everyone can do their stupid eye spots. But then normally what happens is you have 2 people who start off. Every 5 minutes, another person comes in depending on the advantage. Who has the advantage? More on that later because I don't want to step over the matches. Then every 5 minutes, another superstar enters till all the competitors have entered the cage. Once all the competitors have entered the cage, then and only then does the War Games begin. Before that, you're just beating the crap out of each other. Then, how it's supposed to be done is the match ends by submission or surrender. Why submission or surrender? Because in war, you surrender. That was the concept of that. Then one day, out of nowhere, they decided, oh, we're going to make it pinfalls now. Yeah, because I remember in the Civil War, Grant pinned Lee 1, 2, 3 to win for the Union to win the Civil War. Yeah, I remember that happening vaguely. Yeah, they don't teach you that in history. You got to kind of dig through the bowels of the internet to find that out. But they just can't be choosers.
If you knock them out so they can't submit, or they can't, I mean, pinfall makes sense. They're completely out.
Yeah, but they've never gone that far with it, I guess. Or maybe get some water and wake them up like Cena did to Rusev. But I don't know what you had to do in that case. But yeah, that could work. But I'm saying they've now added pinfalls and that. So basically, pinfall or submissions, how this War Games match is going to end. But you can't go for a pin or submission until everyone's entered the cage. And it used to be 4-on-4. Now they decided out of nowhere it has to be 5-on-5. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the match.
Well, thank you for that. I think you've helped clarify any misunderstandings here, including with myself. We're going to see 5-on-5 on the men's side, 5-on-5 on the women's side. Let's get to it first. I think everybody's more excited about watching the OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline. Our reigning defending champion, I think it's only right that you get the first prediction, Vincent Kennedy Bucci.
Yes, and of course, this is an interesting one because like I said before, back in the day, the War Games used to be 4-on-4. That was how it was normally done. And then for some reason, like with this match, when they decided to have War Games, you know, Roman's like, I only see 4 of you. And in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, that's all you need. Like, literally, that was all you needed. Then one day out of nowhere, they decided they needed a 5th guy. So we're not thinking, oh, maybe The Rock's going to come back for the other team. Maybe they're going to call up Zilla Fatu. I know he trains at Booker T's wrestling school. So we're thinking there's going to be more Samoans getting involved. And then in comes Bronson Reed. And we're just like, what the hell is this? Then you're thinking, oh, well, it's going to be Seth Rollins. And then they swerve us all with CM Punk. And I will say this, as much as I don't like the fact there's non-bloodline people in this, I will say with Punk coming in here, you get to tell another story. Because obviously there's the Paul Heyman guy situation, which is everybody excited, but there's the other story that some people are forgetting. One of the builds to the next WrestleMania, which was supposed to happen last year, is Punk versus Rollins. What better way for Seth Rollins to really hate CM Punk more than he already does than to be like, oh, now you're teaming with the tribal chief. So now you get to tell that story going into Mania. So, in the immortal words of Mills Lane, I'll allow it. So, my prediction for this match, this is a tough one. I've been seeing a lot more unity with the OG Bloodline. So that's why I'm excited about this. If they were still wearing separate shirts and being more individual, then I would probably go with the new Bloodline, but I'm going to go with the OGs on this one, especially with them having Punk.
All right. Makes a lot of sense. Damascus Dez, Damaskian Lycan. What say you, sir?
Well, this is going to be a very, very good match. Either fucking way. But there's more to that story than just the OG Paul Heyman guy and the Seth Rollins. We also got to realize when CM Punk first made his return to WWE, he said that he acknowledged the work that Roman Reigns had been putting in as tribal chief. He acknowledged main event Jey Uso over on Monday Night Raw. He actually came in and said stuff that said, no, and never forget that I was the OG Paul Heyman guy. He said this all the way back when he returned. So it actually is it's a tie-in to bring back. And then, of course, with Paul Heyman, when Roman Reigns left, asking Punk to take him with him. I mean, the story has been ongoing since CM Punk returned. Yes, Punk's been focused on other things, but he's been somewhat intertwined because of Paul Heyman. So this is not. So even though it was a shock and nobody was expecting it, it was still very story-centric. And like you said, the fact that they were going to they were trying to recruit Rollins and then ended up pushing Rollins. Then Rollins got injured. And then they, so there's like, they bring in Punk and like, motherfucker, you taking my spot? You didn't even want this spot. It's going to be a thing. I'm sitting here with you on this though. It's a tough match to call. Yes, there's unity with the Bloodline, but part of me wonders if, with Paul Heyman wearing the Solo Sikoa suit, and Paul Heyman's history of not managing good guys, is Paul Heyman bringing Punk in to screw over the OG Bloodline? Is he going to screw him over, saying, "Look, you abandoned me. You left me with Solo Sikoa, and now I'm going with my OG, my Batman. I'm going to stick with CM Punk," and we see the CM Punk heel turn, and then we have Punk as a heel against Seth Rollins when he returns, and that's what we're going to do at Mania. There's so many things here. In general, I would say this is a hard match to call, but I see too many clues looking at a Paul Heyman turn. I feel like I have to go with Solo Sikoa. I'm going to go with Bloodline 2.0.
All right. Bold selection on our intro match. We already have a diversity of opinion. Man, y'all, I've been really struggling with this. Because, like you said, Des, there's so many stories within this match. And there's so many, like, sub-stories, you know, that could turn into, like, a long-tail storyline. And that's the beauty of what Hunter's doing for this brand. To me, it makes sense that the OG Bloodline wins. The good guys won at Bad Blood. The bad guys won at Crown Jewel. It makes sense, numbers-wise, for it to bounce back to the other side. And that reason and that reason only is why I am selecting the OG Bloodline to win. Now, Booch, you selected them as well. I think for the sake of the audience and for Desmond, I believe that we should have a tiebreaker, and that tiebreaker should be who pins who. Who's pinning who, Booch?
Okay. I'm going to go with, I say CM Punk pins Bronson Reed.
All right.
So that way it's like nobody in the actual bloodlines involved in the decision.
I find that hilarious because I feel like Bronson Reed is the least likely to take that pin. I would have said it would have been Tama Tonga.
Yeah, he's been the least relevant member of the new bloodline storyline wise. He's been part of the story, but just, aside. Desmond, you brought up a really insightful point there. And not that I'm saying I didn't think about that before you said it, but it feels as if it's verification. It's like seeing a cardinal outside your window. It's like, boom, tough acting, tin acting. I am going to go with Sami Uso getting the pin on Tama Tonga.
All right.
And here's the deal. If we're both wrong, we still both get the point, but the tiebreaker wouldn't obviously make sense. So just so we're announcing it so there's no confusion or anything to that.
Yeah, that's like a side bet thing.
Yeah, it's like a side bet. Yeah, it's like a prop bet, that I never win on any of those gambling sites that are illegal in Georgia, but I have an alternative address in Nevada. So let's go to the next match.